day, honey badgers. Welcome to another edits vlog. Didn't mean to do an edit on her, but ran into a little bit of a problem with the 310 and now she's an edits feature. This is an easy fix though. So in my most recent video, as far as when I'm filming this, that's the Kudel's holiday haul I just did. If you're into dark things but also happy fun holiday things like Christmas and all of that, if you like both things like me, you may have some interest in that vlog. That'll be linked below if you're interested in that. But in that haul video, I mentioned that this one was pretty easy, pretty straightforward, coming together quickly because the background was all 310. And I very boldly claimed that it was all going to get knocked out in a day or two, and then we could get into the holiday stuff, like the Christmas stuff and all of that. Very bold of me, I know. And it's feeling like I spoke a little bit soon, because now that I'm looking at this, I already made one edit to her, and I thought that was going to be the only edit I was going to do, so she wasn't going to need an edits vlog. So one thing I was looking at is all of the ones on here. Everywhere you see a one is supposed to be 310. Where you see her hair all filled in, that was supposed to be 310, but that was the first thing I saw when I started in on this. Is you can probably tell in the picture, she's supposed to be wearing one of those hoodies that has the little bear ears on top, and it's supposed to be like the big fuzzy kind of teddy bear looking jacket. They had all of that as 310, and then they had this outline on her hair as 310, and I was thinking, definition wise, that's gonna probably look a little bit muddy because you're gonna have a hard time telling where her hair stops and where the hoodie starts. So that was the first edit I made. Instead of doing 310 on the hair, I went in with a super dark gray 37.99 and decided to do all the black highlights on her hair. That way, when you take it off of the lighting board here, I guess I can turn that off, it's still a super dark gray. It's still close enough to like the black family shading wise that it's not going to throw it off too much. It's still going to have a nice variation, I think, with once I put the green tones in and all that. I think it's still going to work, but it's going to give enough definition that you can tell where her jacket line starts. And I thought that was going to be the only edit I was going to do. Other than when I did that little short the other day where I talked about making the necklace, because this much necklace was not actually graphed in there. It was actually just like a simple circle thing. But there was this kind of weird shading down here, and I just felt like it needed something to balance it out, so I ended up giving her a little extra little shimmer down there. There was a little bit of her, she did have a lip ring in the original picture, I think, and there was a dot here. It was just going to be like a gray or a black dot or something, but I happen to have metallic drills, so I was like, makes more sense to put a metallic drill there. The lip jewelry was there, very faintly, but it wasn't very well defined, and again, it was just going to be like gray coloring, so again, I went in with the metallics there and defined that better. But the main reason for this edit vlog is I sat down today to start getting into doing this, and I was just kind of mindlessly laying 310, and then I realized her jacket stops here because she's kind of got her hands up towards her hair, right? And then it was plotted as more 310 up here. And when I just barely started doing underneath this leaf, and I realized this is going to turn this into a big black blob. You're not going to see where her sleeve ends. It's just going to be like her little sweater paws coming out. It's not going to have a lot of great definition. So what I decided to do instead was, I think what I'm going to try is, again, it's close enough to the 310 shading family. You see it done all the time. I'm going to go in with 939 super dark blue. This is a thing that even when they graph diamond paintings manufacturer wise, a lot of them will use 310 in place of, or sorry, we'll use 939 dark blue in place of 310 black a lot of times, because they are so similar in shade. It is kind of hard to tell them apart until you get them in the light or look at them from a distance and the shading comes out. But that was one reason why I wanted to do this vlog. is to show how you can create a little bit of shading in something that's basically a very dark black void. So one of the things that's really helpful with doing that these days in diamond art is they've gotten better at printing what the actual image is, as far as like graphing the code across the image. When diamond art first started, you got those very boxy ones where you'd have the actual, they look like little Lego boxes almost across the whole image, and you put the dot into the square. You still get some companies that will use that method, and it's still a workable method. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the old way of doing it. But you get a much cleaner look underneath the way they do it now, where they just do this number and letter grid across the image, and you get a lot more definition of the actual picture you're working on. And one of the things that's helpful with that is if you want to go in and create definition, you can see where the definition in the original image was. So over here, you can see this is all ones. This is all plotted as 310. So if you were just to do it that way, it's just going to be a solid black line there. But you can see the actual image, the original image, coming through that number grid, and you can see where the shadowing was. So what you can do is you see where, like, let me see if I got something here. Okay, so you see right here, you see this is all like that standard dark black, and then here you see a little bit of like gray lining coming through where the fuzziness of the edge of the hoodie is coming through, and it almost looks like fur coming down. It's still marked 310, but you can see that shading there. So one thing you can do is use where those gray lines are and put 939 dark blue. This is what I'm going to try to do in this video and show you how it looks. Use shading like that as guidelines of where you can do edits. So you can do 939 on these dark areas, and so you'd just do like the 2 up here, and then you'd go down a line and do the 2 down here, and then you go down a line and do a 2 down here, and you just do that till you fill out that gray line of where all the ones are, and the rest of it you can fill in 310. But on those lines you're going to have just a slight variation of shade that's going to give you a little extra depth, I think. So that's what we're going to try in this video. I'm going to put the dark blue 939 back in here so that you have a little bit of a difference with where the sleeve is and where the shading from the trees are. There's also a little bit down here. I don't know if it's coming through as well, but there's just a tiny bit of that kind of grayish feathering down here. So I'll try to make a little bit of definition in her sleeve. And then there's also a little bit on this one to create the fuzziness on this sleeve where that gray shadowing is, as opposed to over here where it's just like black, but it's all marked as the 310 1 symbol, as you can see there. So that's what we're going to try in this video. And then we're going to see if there's any edits I need to do on her hair as long as I'm here. I'm not anticipating any, but I wasn't anticipating this 310 issue to come up either. So we'll leave it open-ended as a edit vlog. If it turns out that I don't really need to do anything, then what I might do is come back and say, you know, the hair is doing great. But usually when I do these edit vlogs, I like to show a completion at the end of it. So either way, we'll reconvene as this project is going along, and I'll show you in a little bit what some of the 310 versus the 939 looks like next to each other, and so you can see that definition coming together. And then yeah, we'll talk about the hair and see the other areas, her face, if there's any edits I need to make on her face. I don't anticipate anything going on with the leaves. I think those are just going to be leaves. You just fill them in. But yeah, the other issues maybe is if there's, I don't think there's going to be too much issue with the hair, because I mean, it's hair. Hair tends to have a lot of color variation in it. I would say there's probably a bigger chance there's going to be a little bit of trickiness in the face, because when you do diamond painting, there's almost always trickiness in getting the shading of a face right. Maybe in the fingers as well, but we'll see. So yeah, welcome to this edits vlog. Stay tuned, we'll see how it goes. All right, quick update on Green Hair Girl. I've got all of the 939 fill-in done, I think, as far as the edits I was going to do with that. So I did all of the shading back in here in 939 blue instead of the Graft 310. You can see maybe a little bit of a difference over here as far as shadowing, how close it is, but still a little bit different. Over here is all 939 dark blue, but her choker here I did in 310 black, and that was graphed that way. Not the jewelry part. The jewelry part I kind of freehanded, because I think originally what was graphed was just like a simple ring. I think I explained that in the first part of this video. I don't remember, but yeah, this part was all freestyle. So yeah, did a little bit of shadowing on the sleeves here. There was a little blip of shadowing over there that I did. So yeah, just wanted to do a quick update on that. That's all the 939 put in. So all the rest of the ones on here, that's me getting ready to go back in and just lay down all of the 310. And then I know I mentioned that I felt like I spoke a little too soon saying, oh yeah, this is all going to come together. But once I put this 310 down and fill that in, I stand by what I said as far as the rest of this going pretty quick, because once the 310 is down, that is the bulk of the picture, because all that's left really is doing the lines on her hair, filling in her nails, got hands, face, neck, and then some leaves, and then a little bit of background back here. So yeah, it is actually, there's a little bit of confetti, but there is actually a lot of sections of color blocking here. So yeah, now I stand by what I said as far as once the 310 is down, it'll go pretty quick. So yeah, just wanted to give you a little update on that. I'm gonna lay down the 310 and then I guess reconvene and talk about what's next. All right, another day, another color update. I'll try to get a little bit more light on this. I don't know how much that's gonna help. We're close to sundown now for this day when I'm filming this. Well, no, actually, no, we're not. It just looks dark outside. We've still got about an hour, I guess, until sundown. But anyway, here's the color update for where we're at right now on this. I'm doing a little color editing right now, so I thought I would stop real quick before I got too far into that spot and explain where I'm at with this now. So all of the 310 is down, all the 939 is down. I did some dark brown earlier, which you can see up in here. And so now where we are with the color edit is in part because of that dark brown, because you see this right here, I'm not loving the way this is looking over here. This is all the same color. It looks fine in the background over there. On her face, I'm not loving it right there. It looks a little messy to me. So I was leaving it there for now because I wasn't quite at the point of doing skin tone just yet. But sometimes the way these things work is I'll do one color and it'll just happen that is like when I'm doing portraits, I'll do something in the background and then it'll just happen that some of the background color will be on a skin tone somewhere. So I'll start doing it down there and it'll look weird on the skin tone, but not in the background. So I'll leave it in the background, but then that'll push me to do a color edit on the skin tone because that's the color I'm working with at the time. So that's kind of what happened with this. Is I was putting color down in the background, it looked fine, and then it had some of that down here on her finger. This is this reddish color, which is 919, and there's a little bit up in the leaves. Looks fine in the leaves. Leaves can be whatever color, right? It looks a little bit weird on her fingers there. That's when I started noticing it. I was like, I don't know that I love it there. I know she's going to have green nails, but I still feel like that's going to stick out too much on the corner of the nail because it's not part of the nail design. That's like her actual finger. It's going to look like she cut herself or something. So what I'm kind of playing around with right now is, yeah, I didn't love how that was going up there, and I didn't love how this color was going down here. So what I thought I could maybe do is take this color down up here and put it down there, and then just keep that dark red off the skin tone, because there's another one coming up. I think where these 5s are, if I remember right, yeah, 5s are going to be 815, which is another really kind of dark pinkish red tone, which I think is going to be kind of harsh on the face right there. Again, probably going to be fine in the leaves if it goes in the leaves, but on the face, if it's not balanced right, it can look kind of harsh and end up looking like she's got like acne or rosacea or something like that. So yeah, to smooth all that out, I was thinking maybe I could move that down here and just leave that off the skin tone. But then what did I do with it? I think that was maybe this one that was unmarked. I had this random leftover color from a kit I did not long ago, but I didn't have the DMC on it, so I can't tell you what color it is, but it's in like that sort of soft brown family. And I checked the other colors that are left in this kit that were graphed, and it doesn't look like any of the colors that are coming in, but it looks in the same color family, so I'm thinking it might work well for her face. But I'll show you. I don't know how well it's going to be coming up on camera, but that, oops, there we go. This one right here is the different one that I just put in, one of these. And then the one directly under it is the one that was graphed. Let me see if I can get any more light on this. I don't know if that'll make it worse. So you see they look super similar in color, but I'm trying to do this on camera. Where am I at? Okay. This one here is the one that was originally graphed, and then this is the edit I did next to it. So very similar color family wise, but this one is just a touch lighter, which sometimes when you're doing skin tone, that's all you need it to be, is just a touch lighter, so it's not coming off quite as harsh to the eye. So I'm thinking, I think I have enough here of this leftover one from whatever kit this was from. I don't know. I think I have enough here to take off all of these. These darker ones are 779 DMC, I think. Take those off, put them back in my spares, and take all of the 919 red off of the fingertips, and then just use this stuff. So that's the part I'm working on now. And yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. I think the next one I was going to do color wise is 936, which is a dark green, which is the darker highlights on her hair. Shouldn't have to do any deep edits on that. I think her hair color is going to be fine the way it is. The grays and the browns I've been doing so far have been meshing really nice together in the hair color. Because, you know, she's supposed to have that sort of alternative type of hair. So it can be a little bit out there, I guess, with the color-wise look. So not too worried about that. Not too worried about anything in the background. The one big area left I'm worried about, well, not worried about, but, you know, might have issue with, as I've already pointed out, is the skin tone areas, but that's pretty typical for diamond painting. It's just one of those areas when you do portrait pictures that it could work out great, could look weird. You just never know till you get down into it and start messing with colors and see what you think. Plenty of people that just do kits and just leave the colors as is, and they're fine. They just do the picture as is and said, oh yeah, that came out all right, or could be better, or whatever. It just depends on your personal preference, I guess, when you're working on it, how it makes you feel. I feel like if it's in your collection and you're going to be looking at it, you might as well make it as appealing to your own eye and aesthetic as possible. So that's where I'm at on the edits right here. Just wanted to give you a quick update on that. I'll do some more of the brown red edits, see how those go, and then come back. And these 5 and 7 spaces, it's only a few spots on her face, but they've been testing me. trying to get this balanced out. I did do some changes over here. That's why I left the brown in earlier. If you saw on the community tab, I posted a picture of her, and I said I left the brown in. There's a bunch of shadowing there across her face, so I wasn't sure how that brown was going to work out. I did end up taking out some of it and using a lighter brown in there, balancing it out a little bit. But then I started working with the red areas. It's just a few little dots here and there. There's some also in the background there, but that doesn't bother me. Like I said, when it's the background or the leaves, it's not going to mess up anything. But when it's on the face, it looks like she's having an acne flare up or something like that. It was a little too harsh. The original plotted colors were 902 and 815, which even these two next to each other, I don't know how well it's coming off on camera, but they're not like, usually when you want to do colors next to each other, you want them to be really close, just with a little variance so that the shadowing and shading works out nice. I feel like there's too much of a space shading wise between 902 and 815. I feel like for a face coloring, that's a little bit harsh. So I did about half a dozen different combinations between different red colors, different brown colors, and everything was looking too bright on her face. So I ended up just ditching all of that and just going into my dark purples and seeing if I could do that, because I figured, she's got this sort of kind of, like I said, the alternative look, a little bit goth, a little bit emo. So why don't we just go with purples instead of reds and see where we can go with that. So I think what I'm doing now, what did I decide to do? I think for the 7 spots, which is the slightly darker color of the 902, instead of doing that, I went with a 3740 purple. It's one of those ones that's like, it's kind of in between a purple and a brown that's got a little bit of both in it. So I figured that was a little bit safer on the face, a little bit more natural looking, a little easier to blend. And then for the 5s, there's only a few little dots on the face of 5s, and I have this just random kind of purplish brownish color that's just a touch lighter than this one. So I figured this one would blend pretty nicely, hopefully. Haven't tried it on her face yet, but that's where I'm working with on the purples there, trying to get the shadowing right. I don't think it's going to be absolutely perfect, because at the end of the day, it's diamond art. It's essentially pixel art, so it's not going to look like a photograph. But you do want it to look at least a little more natural and not like buckshot just went across her face or something like that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm finishing up that. The other areas, as far as, I haven't checked if there's any more. I think I got, there's a little bit more back in there. The other 5s and 7s around the leaves and stuff, I'll just use those as plotted with the 902 and the 815. I just wanted to make it softer on her face, since that is like front and center in this whole thing. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Once I get that leveled out, then I'll go back in and probably start in on the greens of her hair. All right, new color update. Color changes everywhere. Where did I leave off? I'm trying to remember now. I've been doing a lot of edits, so I'm trying to remember, get you back up to speed here. I think I was talking about the brown before. Fixed all that, cleaned up her face. So that's just going to be a little bit of dark shadow there, and it'll get lighter on that side. Still working up to that area. Put in the red leaf here. Let's see, I did her nails up. I did a mix of the 906, which was plotted originally, and then the other color, I think it was 936. I swapped that out and did a green Diamond Dots AB on the nails instead. What else did I do? I started putting in the dark green color shading, the 936 in there, and then underneath that put in the other 906 strands. That's that mid green here. But then I got down to, you see where this lighter green is? That was originally plotted as this 832 kind of tan color. And I don't know, I was just looking at that thinking, I don't really love that. It's a little too swampy. I wanted the green to be a little bit more vibrant. So I've been using the 832 still on the leaf areas. I kept those kind of, you know, brown and autumn looking over there, and using it on the wall over here wherever it was plotted, like down in this corner. But on the hair, I just wanted it in that green family. So I went into my spares and found 166 green, and wherever that brown was plotted, that sort of khaki-ish type color, I did the very vibrant kind of spring green there instead to do the brighter highlights, and I'm really liking how that's working so far. So I was working on that, and then there was this one strand in here I noticed, and then once I did that one I started noticing it down here. There was one that was the J symbol, so I went over and looked that up, and it's this bright pink. I don't know if I can do it's kind of late at night, so I don't know how well the color is going to come through, but it's that super kind of in your face peachy tone they tend to put in with skin tones, which it does work with some skin tones sometimes, depends on the image. The way she is, I figured the overall aesthetic, the overall look, she would probably be better to be more super pale toned. And this just felt super bright for what we were going for here. So I decided not to do this color, and this is a 3771 color. So I went in my spares and pulled out some 3770, which is technically only one DMC shade down, but look at the shade difference. I just felt like this was a little bit closer to the vibe I was going for, especially when I'm looking at, whoops, hold on, spilling a few drills over here. Especially with the other shades that are going in. I don't know what that one was for, that's something else. These are some of the other shades that are going into the color mix to make up her skin tone as far as what was graphed. So yeah, I thought that was going to be a much softer, more natural blend for her. So that's what I'm working on there. Let's see, I think that's basically up to speed now. I don't know if there's anything else I'm changing. So yeah, started putting in a little of the 3770 on her neck and her hands. Haven't really gotten into the face shading just yet. Filling in the little background pieces as I go. Starting to get to the point, I just have a little bit more on the hair, green hair to fill in, and then I'm starting to get to the point where I'm just kind of in the home stretch of putting in the sort of, you know, neutral skin tone type colors, and then I think there's going to be a little bit of yellow or something up here. What is 4? 783. Let me see what that was. Oh, okay. So this up here, all this 4 is supposed to be this kind of pumpkin-y color, which I think that'll be fine. I'll probably leave that as is. I might mix in a little bit of yellow. I don't know. It might, because this does seem like a lot of brown. Although there is a little bit of that. What was I doing? Looking at the number here. There is a little bit of that in there. That's a weird color combination, though. I don't know if I love that. I was going to say there's a little bit of this 3771 that I could maybe use up in the leaf area, but even for a leaf, that's a little bit of an odd color mix. So what I may do is go into my spares and find like a light yellow and put that in, because I can't tell right off the bat looking at this, but it kind of looks like those J's where this is supposed to be. Might be making some like leaf veining or something along the edges. So yeah, I'll have to look at that in a little bit. I may do a little bit of a light yellow in there or something, or maybe a mid yellow. We'll see what matches best with this. But for right now, I'm gonna finish up her green hair and then yeah, start working on the skin tones basically, and come back in a little bit and see how it's worked out. I was starting to do the shading on her face and I was getting a little invested, so I thought I would stop and give you a quick color update before I get into that, since we're on the home stretch with this one. So I filled in the leaves. All those are done. Finished the hair. Look how cool the hair came out. Oh, I didn't realize that was there. Okay, look how cool the hair came out. Yeah, hair in diamond art, doing the, you know, the gradients and stuff, that can take a while, but the taking your time pays off. Love how that came out. Did I do anything else? No, that's basically what I've been doing since last night. I filled in the hair, did the leaves, filled in the little bit of background back there. Yeah, so I just started just now jumping into the skin tones, and the colors in the skin tones, we're down to like the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 colors here, and it's all like neutrals and skin tones and all that, and it's the same colors in the last little bit of the background here and her face, just in different spots. So yeah, that's basically where we're at. I'm working on the skin tones. It looks really dark, but there is supposed to be a little bit of a shadow on her face because of like the hair and the hoodie and the leaves and all that. So that little corner is going to be dark, and then it's going to lighten up around here, I'm guessing, because you know, the colors we're working with here. So yeah, there may be a few little edits here and there still with the skin tones. Haven't really gotten into that too far. So far it's been pretty much as graphed. But yeah, just thought I would show you that real quick, see where we're going with this. Oh, the other thing is I was messing with her eye a little bit last night, because there's just something about the shape is just, I don't know, it's maybe when I'm looking at it too close, that the shape of it just looks a little bit off to me. I'm trying to get a more natural eye, and I've played around with the colors in the eye, taking out a few stones here and there and trying different shades to just make it softer and more natural. Because the way it was graphed originally, it was just almost like a complete purple block in there with a little bit of a black line. You can see more of a pupil kind of developing in there. I went back in and put those little gray dots just to make like the corner of her eye, and that gives the illusion more of like an actual pupil in there. It's not just a purple wall. And then there was more black tone down in here, but I decided to go back in and soften that and make it just a little bit more dark purple, and that softened the eye a little bit. But I don't know, something in here, when I'm just looking at it with my bare eye, it just looks kind of boxy. But I'm at the point now where I don't think I'm gonna mess with it anymore, because sometimes when you mess with stuff too much, when you get too obsessed with some little teeny tiny thing, you can risk messing up the whole thing, when the original thing you were upset about wasn't really that big a deal. You were just up in your head too long or something. So I think I'm at that point with the eye. I think I'm just going to leave it as is and say close enough, so that I don't, you know, make it worse somehow. So yeah, that's where we're at, filling in the color of her face and the little bit of neckline there and some hands, and then filling in this wall. I think in the original photo there were some buildings back here, but naturally that's not really going to come out too well on this, so it's basically just going to be like kind of a muted brown sort of what would you call it, like watery wispy look back there, kind of like she's in front of a backdrop or something. But I think it'll still look cool. So yeah, that's where we're at. Should be done pretty soon. I think it's the 24th when I'm filming this clip. I don't think I'll have the completion reel done today. I'm thinking because it's also been kind of cloudy in and out today, so the light's not been super great for that. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is finish this up today, for sure. Film this video, put this video together, And then if you're watching this sometime on the 24th, if I get it uploaded by then, you will probably see the completion reel sometime on the 25th, I'm guessing. So yeah, all coming together finally, and then I can move on to rainbow turkey like I planned, because I think I still have a few days window where I can squeeze that one in and maybe have it done by Thanksgiving. So that's where we're at. I'll come back once this is all done and give you a finished look at the end of this video. And then if you want to check out the completion reel once it's done, I will link it down below on this video. So there we go.